There is a quiet kind of fear that doesn't announce itself with panic or trembling hands. It lives in small moments. In the pause before you speak your real opinion, in the laugh you give that isn't quite yours, in the way you edit yourself before you ever let the world see you. It is the fear of being truly yourself. Many people carry this fear without ever naming it. They grow up believing they are simply easygoing, adaptable, or private. But beneath those labels often lies something deeper, a lifelong habit of hiding parts of who they are in order to feel safe, accepted, and loved. In a world that rewards conformity and punishes difference, learning to disappear emotionally can feel like a form of survival. Over time, it becomes so automatic that you forget you are doing it. For most people who struggle to be authentic, this pattern begins early. Often in childhood, love and approval were conditional. Praise came when you behaved correctly. Attention arrived when you were quiet, helpful, successful, or pleasing. Maybe you learned that expressing anger led to punishment. Maybe sadness was dismissed. Maybe curiosity was mocked. Maybe being different made you stand out in painful ways. Slowly, you absorbed the message that certain parts of you were unacceptable. So you adapted. You learned which emotions were safe and which were dangerous. You learned how to read rooms quickly. You became skilled at sensing what others wanted from you. You adjusted your personality depending on who was watching. At first, this adaptability protected you. It helped you avoid conflict. It helped you keep relationships. It helped you survive emotionally. But over time, it came at a cost. When you grow up suppressing parts of yourself, you don't just hide them from others. You begin hiding them from yourself. As an adult, this often shows up in subtle ways. You might struggle to make decisions because you are always considering what others would prefer. You might feel anxious before expressing opinions. You might replay conversations in your head, wondering if you said the wrong thing. You might feel uncomfortable when attention is focused on you. You might avoid situations where you could be judged. You might find yourself exhausted after social interactions, not because you dislike people, but because performing is tiring. People who fear being themselves often become emotional shapeshifters. Around one person, they are funny. Around another, they are serious. Around another, they are agreeable. Around another, they are quiet. None of these versions are fake, exactly, but none of them are complete. They are fragments, carefully arranged to minimize rejection. This pattern is rooted in a deep psychological belief. If people see the real me, they will leave. This belief doesn't usually form from one dramatic moment. It develops from repetition, from many small experiences of being misunderstood, criticized, ignored, or shamed. Over time, the mind learns to associate authenticity with danger. Vulnerability becomes linked to loss. Honesty becomes linked to conflict. Self-expression becomes linked to punishment. So the nervous system stays alert. Even in safe environments, the body remains cautious. It scans for signs of disapproval. It tightens when conversations turn personal. It freezes when emotional risk appears. This is not weakness. It is trauma-informed behavior. It is what happens when safety was inconsistent. Many people who hide themselves are highly empathetic. They notice subtle shifts in tone. They sense emotional undercurrents. They care deeply about harmony. This sensitivity is often praised, but it is also a survival skill. It developed because you needed to anticipate moods. You needed to avoid upsetting others. You needed to stay emotionally invisible at times. As a result, your sense of worth may become tied to being liked. Approval feels like oxygen. Disapproval feels devastating. You may overthink text messages. You may feel uneasy when someone seems distant. You may assume you did something wrong even when there is no evidence. Inside, there is often a quiet loneliness, not because you lack people, but because few people truly know you. You may have friends, you may be loved, you may be respected, but there is a part of you that feels unseen. A part that wonders if anyone would stay if you stopped performing. A part that longs to exhale fully and say, "This is me." This creates emotional dissonance. You are present, but not fully. You are connected, but guarded. You are known, but not deeply. Over time, this can lead to emptiness, burnout, anxiety, or depression. It is exhausting to live behind emotional walls. In relationships, this fear often shows up as people-pleasing. You may prioritize others' needs over your own. You may struggle to set boundaries. You may say yes when you mean no. You may tolerate discomfort to avoid disappointing someone. You may stay silent when something hurts you. Not because you lack opinions or needs, but because you fear the consequences of expressing them. Conflict feels dangerous. Disagreement feels like rejection. Honesty feels risky. So you minimize yourself, you shrink, you adapt. And slowly, resentment or sadness may build inside, even toward people who never ask you to disappear. Another common pattern is perfectionism. If you believe your authentic self is not enough, you may try to compensate by being flawless. You work harder, you try to impress, you chase external validation, you hope that achievement will earn you safety. But perfection never feels secure. There is always another standard, another comparison, another way to fall short. Some people cope by staying emotionally vague. They avoid deep conversations. They keep things light. They deflect with humor. They change subjects when things become personal. This is not shallowness. It is self-protection. Others cope by over-explaining. They justify their feelings. They apologize for existing. They soften their truth so it will be easier to accept. They say things like, "It's probably just me," or "I don't want to be dramatic," before sharing anything real. All of these behaviors have the same root: fear of abandonment through authenticity. And yet, the painful paradox is this: hiding yourself does not prevent loss. It prevents intimacy. When people cannot see you clearly, they cannot love you fully. They love the version you present, the edited version, the safe version. And part of you knows that. Part of you knows you are not being chosen as you truly are. And that knowledge quietly hurts. Healing begins when you start questioning the old story. The story that says you are too much, too sensitive, too different, too emotional, too strange, too quiet, too intense, too honest, too complicated. Who taught you that? Whose voice are you still carrying? Often it belongs to someone who was struggling themselves, someone who could not hold space for your feelings, someone who projected their fears onto you. Someone who needed you to be smaller so they could feel bigger. Someone who loved you in the only way they knew how. Understanding this does not excuse harm, but it gives you context. It reminds you that your self-erasure was learned. And what is learned can be unlearned. Learning to be yourself again is not about suddenly becoming fearless. It is about practicing courage in small ways. It is about noticing when you are about to edit yourself and gently asking, "What would I say if I weren't afraid?" It is about honoring your discomfort instead of dismissing it. It is about setting one boundary, sharing one honest thought, expressing one authentic emotion. At first, it feels terrifying. Your body may react as if you are in danger. Your heart may race. Your mind may predict disaster. This is normal. You are rewiring patterns that once kept you safe. Your nervous system needs time to learn that authenticity no longer equals abandonment. Some people will not like the real you. That is true. Some relationships may shift. Some connections may fade. Some dynamics may change. But the people who remain will know you. They will choose you without conditions. They will make space for your complexity. They will respect your boundaries. They will not require you to disappear. And slowly, something inside you will relax. You will feel lighter, more grounded, more whole. You will stop feeling like you are constantly auditioning for belonging. You will stop fearing that one wrong word will cost you love. You will start trusting that you are allowed to exist as you are. Being yourself is not about being loud or bold or unfiltered. It is about being honest with yourself first, about what you feel, what you want, what you need, what matters to you, what hurts you, what you believe. You were never meant to live as a collection of adaptations. You were meant to live as a person with depth, with contradictions, with flaws, with strengths, with fire, with uncertainty, with wisdom. You are not difficult for having needs. You are not selfish for having boundaries. You are not dramatic for having emotions. You are not ungrateful for wanting more. You are not broken for being sensitive. You learned to hide because you wanted to survive. Now you are allowed to live. And living begins when you stop apologizing for who you are. It begins when you choose self-respect over approval. It begins when you realize that authenticity is not a threat to love. It is the doorway to it. You do not have to become someone else to be worthy. You never did. You have always been enough, exactly as you are.